Hello, Wilmington. My name is Glenn Brand, and I have the privilege and pleasure to serve as the superintendent here in the Wilmington Public Schools. And thank you for joining this edition of Wildcat Corner, where we continue to try and bring good news and the exciting things that are going on in our district to members of our community. Today's show is no exception, and in just a moment I'll have the opportunity to welcome three guests here with me today to share a little bit more insight with you about a program that I have come to learn a little bit about, but I know our community knows a lot about and has heard a lot about, and that's DECA. We have many, many great activities and things for our students to be involved in at the high school, and there's a lot of great things going on. But one of those programs that seems to pop up and is heard around the community by a lot of people is DECA. And so today we'll dig a little bit more into what that program is all about, and a little bit more from our students and student leaders who are here today. But before we begin, thank you, Ms. Dunlap, for joining, and Sabrina and Spencer. If you would, just take a moment to introduce yourselves to our audience.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm Margie Dunlap. I'm one of the business teachers at Wilmington High School, and I'm the DECA advisor.
My name's Sabrina Gray. I'm a co-president of DECA. I'm a senior, and I went to the North.
My name is Spencer Bagtaz. I'm also a co-president of DECA. I'm also a senior, and I went to the West.
Well, thanks so much for being here and for spending a few moments of your day to do this and help inform our audience and members of our community about DECA. DECA. We hear those. I hear those. The letter, the acronyms all the time. But I'm willing to bet that there's probably a lot of people who don't exactly know what DECA is and what it's all about. So let's start there. What is DECA?
So that's an interesting question, because a lot of people assume that DECA stands for something, and it doesn't. It used to. Many years ago when it first began, it stood for the Distribution Clubs of America. And it doesn't stand for that anymore. But they kept the acronym. Spencer, why don't you tell us what the official title of DECA is?
DECA prepares emerging leaders and entrepreneurs in hospitality and tourism, entrepreneurship, marketing, and finance.
Perfect. A better way to describe it, though, I would say, is it's a business club. It's a business club where students have an opportunity to interact with each other, meet students, and compete against students from all over the state and the globe. We have 3 levels of competition, and students can choose between either competing in a role play scenario, or they can do a business plan. So it's essentially the difference is kind of being put on the spot, thinking critically, creatively, on their feet, or it's that prepared presentation style creativity. The cool part about DECA is that students can pick from a variety of categories. Off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you how many there are, but they can pick from categories like apparel and accessories marketing, or automotive services marketing, or marketing communications, or they can work in teams on things like business law and ethics, or sports and entertainment marketing. We see a lot of kids in Wilmington work on the pre-prepared presentations, where they work ahead of time on innovation plans, franchise business plans, where they do research. And so there's a variety of things that kids can do, which gives them a lot of opportunities and autonomy in how they go about their DECA experience.
Really, not having the opportunity as a student to be a part of DECA, and I wish I had, in learning more about it, it really sounds like a very unique experience for students. And I mean, we can all attest to the fact that we're really fortunate in Wilmington and the high school to have a whole wide range of activities and extracurricular offerings for students, whether that be in the performing arts or in athletics and a whole host of others. But this sounds like a little bit more unique, a little bit more focused on some things that some might not otherwise think about at a younger age. So with that, I'm curious, Spencer, Sabrina, what inspired you to join and get involved in DECA? How did you learn about it, and what helped you make the decision to say, you know what, this might be for me?
So I joined DECA as a freshman. I've been in it for 4 years, and at first I honestly joined it because I had an upperclassman friend that was in it, and she said I should join it. I didn't exactly know what I was getting into, but after our first district competition, I would say, I just came to love it. It was a very new experience, and I had never done anything in the business realm really before. Right. So it helped me a lot to learn more about how businesses actually operate and
that's great.
How everything goes.
And sometimes it's okay to try things you don't know anything about, right? Mm-hmm. And here you are. How about you, Spencer?
I joined because my best friend had his sister. His sister was one of the leaders at the time. So again, I had like an upperclassman connection, and it was difficult my freshman year for me. I mean, I also didn't really know. And then I actually caught COVID right around competition season, so I wasn't able to compete. But then I came back the year after, and I've been here ever since.
Well, and thank you for sharing those stories. And I mean, for those the younger kids who might be watching, you keep that in mind, whether it's DECA or anything else. So sometimes you just are presented an opportunity and you try it. And that's a great thing about being your age and in high school. So you've mentioned competition a couple of times. And when we think about some of the extracurricular activities, of course, athletics is competing and sometimes, performing arts do, but not necessarily a lot of the other clubs necessarily. But that seems to be the case for DECA. So with that, what event or project has been your favorite so far as a member of Wilmington's DECA program? So Sabrina, why don't you start?
Yeah, so I do a role play individually. I've been in restaurant and food service management my whole DECA career, and I've gone to States all 4 years, and I would say States in general is my favorite event. We go to the Prudential Center, and you get to compete against everybody from the state. Well, not everybody, qualifiers that from different districts in the state. But it's a super fun experience. I've made a lot of friends, and it's just a lot bigger scale than any other club I'm in. And yeah, we're doing it at the Seaport District this year instead of the Prudential because DECA's gotten so big. So I'm excited to see how that goes.
Great. Thanks for sharing this. Spencer, how about you?
I think States is a big one for me as well. This year and last year, I competed in automotive services marketing. I'm talking about cars and stuff. And last year I got top 10 in the state, which was huge. I was very proud of my accomplishment. And then I was fortunate enough to go to ICDC as part of the leadership conference that they have there. They have like 4 to 5 different conferences. I was in the Elevate one, which was focused on chapter leadership, which is how I got where I am today. And it's ICDC is a much different experience than States, but there's more of my closer friends that will go there because ICDC is far away in the country. It costs a little bit, so.
And ICDC stands for?
International Career Development Conference.
Good. We're really putting you on the spot. You're doing well. So walk us through a little bit, and maybe Ms. Dunlap will come back to you as person who helps make all of this possible and guide students. What does the preparation look like for a competition? How does that happen?
Sure. Before I get into that, I just want to clarify. So we have 3 levels of competition. The first is district competition. This is just old hat to them. But for new people watching, we have our district level competition, and that is the level where everyone in Wilmington gets to compete. So a new member, seasoned members all get to compete, and they're competing against about 1,500 students from our district. And we have, I believe it's 12 districts in Massachusetts. So we're in District 4. So we had our district competition the past 2 days. Where we had 1,500 students across 2 days, and the students who move on are the students who place in the top 6 in their category. It's challenging to move on, to be honest. Some of these kids are competing against 40 other students, 30 other students, and have to be in the top 6 to move on. So we have 27 students from Wilmington who will move on to go to Boston, which we refer to as States, which is the State Career Development Conference. At States, we have roughly about 4,000 people attending. As Sabrina said, we'll be at the Seaport District this year, which is exciting to have a new location. And they will compete at that level. And now you've got the cream of the crop in the state competing against each other for those coveted ICDC spots. And we rotate year after year where we go. Last year we were in Anaheim, California. Spencer was there with me last year. The year before was Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. And then this year we're going to Orlando, Florida. My favorite is Orlando. It's a great area for the kids to be, for the chaperones to be. It's a lot of fun. And so that's that. So in terms of preparation for these competitions, we start working on this as soon as school starts. So in August, the kids get an email from me saying, "Are you ready?" In fact, we actually have a planning meeting in June to prepare for what will happen because it happens really quickly. So we have kids who are designated to do different jobs, and so they're co-presidents, and they are not our only co-presidents. We have 2 other students that I want to make sure we give a shout out to. So why don't you just give a shout out to our 2 other co-presidents?
Yes. So one of them is Shubhangi
Tripathi.
Tripathi. Sorry.
Yeah.
She is currently doing dual enrollment at Middlesex, but she is the president of.
She helps earn the spots for the ICDC leadership that Spencer did last year. So it's a way to go to that International Career Development Conference. If we check some boxes, like getting involved in the community. So she helped run a food drive. She does a lot of different things like that behind the scenes. And then we also have
Dean Champa, who's the president of the marketing committee. Him and then his committee, they run the Instagram, and they try and market out all of the events that we have. At districts, they were doing their job. They're posting, the winners, the people moving on. They're posting pictures of everyone, just showing that we actually do stuff.
Yeah, so these 4 kids are the ones who are in charge of the club. I'm here to guide them, but they do all the work, truly. And they have 4 committees that they work through. Sabrina does fundraising, and Spencer does competition prep. So Spencer is actually in charge of making sure everyone on his committee, which includes other Wilmington High School students, are helping prepare students by having practice role play times after school. He hosted a Quizlet night where they did practice test questions all about, business knowledge. All of these guys come into my classroom and do demonstrations for what a great role play looks like. We have students who do the written prepared projects, help kids with tips and tricks and show them, past projects as well. So there's a lot that goes into preparing, and, it's very self-driven. So students need to want to come, and they do. They come to get the help. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a lot of the competitions, there's a whole lot of different skills and skill sets that you have to bring to the table, so to speak. And one of those clearly sounds like presentation skills and public speaking. Sabrina, could you share a little bit with us about how you've sort of, as you reflect back upon your time at DECA, how participating has helped improve those skills for you?
Yeah, I personally came into high school not being a super confident person. I was more introverted, and I had never done any public speaking. And through DECA, I've learned to be confident in more than just business aspects. During the role plays, you just have to be confident, and sometimes you gotta just make stuff up and sound confident with it, but it works. So yeah, I'd say confidence is like the biggest thing that I've learned through DECA.
And I mean, Spencer, a little bit of a different question, but so that sounds like that pushed you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, for
in terms
sure.
of the public speaking and presentation. Spencer, has there been a competition or event that's pushed you out of your comfort zone, and what might that have been as you reflect upon your time?
That's a really good question, actually. When I had qualified, or sophomore year, I didn't make it to our state competition, and so I was pretty bummed out about that. But then Miss Dunlap came to me, offered me what we have, which is called Quiz Bowl. It's a second opportunity to go to states if you didn't qualify in your category. And that was a tough decision I had to make, and it was something about my comfort zone. I didn't end up going, but then I qualified for states my junior year, and then what really pushed me out of my comfort zone was not like kind of going to states and just sitting around and not making the most of it. Like, I went around, I networked with people. I have a couple friends there, and then when I was at ICDC as well, I made a ton of friends. I still talk to them to this day.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, both of you. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm curious about, the experience sounds like it's rewarding on so many different levels, both the opportunity to be with, sounds like probably a number of friends and peers you have, and just to be a part of these competitions, and a little bit of travel sometimes if you're fortunate enough, even if it's just to Boston. But how has the experience of DECA sort of helped advance your career goals or your academic goals? And maybe that's a tough question because of sort of thinking back in time and where you may have been as you entered the high school. But now that you're reflecting upon that, how has that impacted that? And where do you see yourself possibly going?
Yeah, so I used to think that I was going to do something maybe related to the health business, like nursing or something. But through DECA, I've learned, I think, that I want to do something related to business, whether it be owning my own business or helping manage or something. So I do plan to go to college, and I think that I might minor in business of some sort. I do also really like psychology, so I want to focus on that also. But I just really want to be involved in business still throughout my life, and I don't think I would want that without DECA experience.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, Spencer?
My mom was pestering on me about deciding a major for college all of last year.
Spencer, she was guiding
She was
you.
guiding me to make a decision on what I wanted to major in college. There was always the option of undecided, but she really wanted me to have a thought at least. And it wasn't until I took Miss Dunlap's sports entertainment marketing class that I knew that I wanted to go into marketing. And so I've applied to some places for their marketing programs. And then what helped boost my confidence knowing that I could actually succeed in the marketing was states and districts last year.
So thanks for sharing that. So it really sounds like this has had a real impact on where you might see yourself going as part of your future. So Ms. Dunlap, I'm curious, you've seen this through the years and lots of students, hundreds of students who've been involved in this. How do you think DECA, from your vantage point as an educator and a parent, prepares students for real world experiences in business, entrepreneurship, or any other career paths?
It's truly invaluable. And I mean that. I did DECA as a high school student myself. So to end up being a high school teacher who is the DECA advisor was full circle for me. My own 3 teenagers are also currently in DECA, not in Wilmington, but in our own town. So I see it as a parent. I see it through the lens of an advisor. I have seen it through the lens as a student myself, and now as a teacher and advisor to my own students. So I've seen it from all perspectives. And the one thing that I think is important to take away about DECA is it's not just for kids who are interested in business. Not everyone's going to go into business, but business is a part of every industry. Whether you think about it that way or not, try to find an industry that doesn't include business on some level. It would be hard. And so everyone can benefit from interpersonal skills, critical thinking, meeting other people, opportunities for travel, gaining self-confidence. I mean, it doesn't matter what you go into, this will help you. And so whether you're coming into high school or leaving high school planning on a career in business or not, DECA will absolutely benefit every single person who gets involved.
You and I both know we talk a lot about multidisciplinary opportunities and learning experiences for students, and it really sounds like DECA, from all that you've shared and all that I've come to learn, really does provide that multidisciplined need and requirement for students, and so many benefits that happen in this program and experience. So maybe it's for a parent, guardian, or caregiver out there that's watching. Maybe it's for a 7th grade student or 8th grade student that's soon going to be in the seats where you are. How do you get involved? If you don't have friends who are involved, if you don't have an older brother or sister, but this is maybe sparking your interest, how do you get involved? Can you share a little bit about that so people can think ahead for next year?
At the beginning of every year, Mr. Gendron and the administration staff at the high school are very prominent about getting freshmen involved. And so there's a freshman activities fair closer at the beginning of the year, where all clubs have the opportunity to sign up and have their own display case booth and try and sell their own club in a sort of way to gain members. And so DECA's always been there since, even when I was a freshman, when I attended, DECA was there. And it really helps gain new members. And then we also post flyers. The marketing committee works and they make flyers, posting the Google Classroom code and then the Instagram handle and Miss Dunlap's Instagram handle all around the school so that if students are interested, they can join.
Great. So we'll make sure to give a shout out of that, and on the screen we'll make sure to show that Instagram account so people can follow. A lot of great things shared here and some insight into this. And these competitions, I presume, are open to anybody. So if somebody had an interest and wanted to, and followed you on Instagram and found out that the next competition was on a date and place, they can certainly go there and join. So, thank you for taking the time out of your day. Thank you, Ms. Dunlap and Spencer, Sabrina, for sharing a little bit more with us about DECA. And thank you, members of our Wilmington community, for watching. Until next time, take care.